Welcome to the Hmong Peeps Show, the one and only show that brings you ordinary people sharing extraordinary insights. Well, maybe. Here is your host, Chew Effin Lee.
Hey, what's up, people? This is Chew. Welcome to the Hmong Peeps Show. It's been a while since I did a video. It's because I've been busy with a lot of family functions, preparing for family functions, and so I apologize for not putting up 2 or 3 videos per week like how I used to do. Hopefully things will be a lot better and I'll have more time to do these videos. I hope your weekend was well and you had fun. My weekend started off okay, and then on Saturday, or actually Sunday early morning around 4 a.m. for those of you who are my friends on Facebook, you probably saw my status. I had a little accident with a deer. Yeah, the deer and I was in my car, so I was driving. The deer and I, we crossed paths. Didn't end up so good for the deer. Same thing for my car as well. It's pretty jacked up. But I'm fine, as you guys can see. I didn't get banged up or anything physically, but mentally I am a little bit banged up. You know, things like that traumatizes you to some degree. So anyway, it was 4 in the morning. I was coming home from my brother's house, and I was doing about 30 to 35 miles an hour, and then out of the blue, the deer popped out of the passenger side. And before I could do anything, like, you know, step on my brakes, bam! Then the deer disappeared. All I remember seeing was the head of the deer and the neck of the deer, and then the loud bang. And then I stepped on my brakes at that point, but then probably 15-20 feet right after the impact, I stopped my car, looked down the rearview mirror, the side mirrors. I didn't see the deer, so I thought the deer got up and took off. But I decided to just do a U-turn, go back and check to see what kind of mess I made as far as like the headlights and maybe even my bumper, the debris that was left. And as I looked, I saw the deer on the corner, the sidewalk corner of the cross streets. So it was laying down as if it was sleeping, but it had its neck and head erected straight up and looking around. And I thought the deer was just dazed. That's why it was in its position. So I was waiting for the deer and expecting it to get up at any moment to just take off once, you know, it collected itself. And then it didn't collect itself. It was just laying there. So I called the cops. The cops came. And when the cops got to my location, the cop just pointed at me. He was about 20 feet away from me. He said, "Okay, I need you to plug your ears." And then he just shot the deer in the head. And the deer started to do its death move. You know, it was shaking and just about to die. And then the cop came over to me. He was a very cool cop, you know. Cops are now all cops are bad, so he was one of the good cops, and he didn't even ask for ID or nothing. He just told me, "This is what we call an act of God, so you might not even have to pay any deductibles to get your car repaired." So he came over and he took pictures of my damage, and then he gave me his card and the case number. He said, "Just call your insurance company, give them my card or the information on my card, and they should be able to take care of this for you." So that was my weekend. I hope none of you guys will ever have to experience that, you know, hitting a deer that way. I mean, I've come close several times in the past of hitting a deer when they cross the road, but this time we actually collided. So a lot of people were asking me, "Dude, how fast were you going?" And I'm thinking we should ask the deer how fast the deer was going. right? So anyway, that was my weekend, and now I have to deal with getting my car repaired. So that'll be fun. Alright, anyway, today I wanted to talk about another barrier to spiritual development. Again, it doesn't matter if you're going the shaman route or not. But one of the barriers to why people cannot develop as fast as they want to is probably because you're treating your spiritual development like a hobby. Think about how serious you are about your spiritual development. We've heard this saying in business seminars where they say if you treat it like a hobby, you get paid like a hobby. And I really believe in that. I mean, there's those of you out there watching this video where you didn't even pick it, it picked you, right? So you were chosen to be spiritually aware and gifted, and you had no say in it, and then all of a sudden you start seeing ghosts, speaking to ghosts or spirits, having spiritual dreams, whatever, and yeah, you didn't choose it, it chose you, and it won't leave you alone. Those are exceptions. But if you are on the path of wanting to develop spiritually and you wonder why you can't really get to where you want to be, think about how you're treating it. I mean, it's okay that you are not as developed as you want to be, because we live in a world where we have bills to pay. We have family, we have friends. There's a lot of other things going on in our lives that changes our priorities. Okay? So don't feel bad that you are not where you want to be spiritually. But I believe we all have a choice. Those of us, especially those of us who are choosing to accept and choosing to want to develop spiritually. We have a choice to prioritize where our spiritual appetite is. So if we're very hungry to want to be very gifted, then we have to make that decision to say, okay, well, I'm going to either pray a lot more, meditate a lot more, or figure out a way to connect with my guides a lot more. And take action. You got to actually do it. You can't just say it and want it and then not do nothing about it, because if you do it that way, of course, the results are not going to be where you want it to be. There are many barriers to why a lot of people cannot develop spiritually as fast as they would like to. And this whole barrier about treating it like a hobby, that could be one barrier. I mean, I've talked about other barriers before, I think in a couple of videos, and then in our Facebook group I've mentioned many other barriers as well. Just haven't really gone into details about how those barriers may affect our spiritual development. But for this episode, I wanted to focus on how are you treating your spiritual development. So if you take a step back and think about whether or not you are treating it like a hobby, think about the outcome where you're at now. If you are fine with how you are spiritually attuned right now, then I think you've done what you're supposed to do to be where you are today. But if you still want to grow and you can't figure out why you're stuck, maybe it's because you're treating it like a hobby. Could be. Or it could be the other barriers that I've mentioned before. I hope this video was helpful to some of you out there. Feel free to ask questions and post your questions below this video, and I will try to address it, whether it's on another video or I'll just respond to the comment and we can go from there. Alright? So that's it for today's episode. I may have a guest come on very soon here, and she is someone who has been asked about by a lot of you on the page. So hopefully everything works out and she can make it to the show tomorrow. And I won't tell you who she is, but you'll meet her. I've never met her personally. We've just kind of communicated back and forth on the Facebook page. But she's a very special person. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you guys have a great week or a great day. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.